Hello, everybody, and welcome to our UltraEdit Masterclass on regular expressions. I think we're going to give it just a little more time for people to tune in. We're still at the top of the hour. So forgive the redundancy here, but I'm going to rerun our 1-minute countdown, and then we'll be right back with you shortly. All right, we are back. Hello, everyone, again, and welcome to today's UltraEdit Masterclass. I'm already seeing some of your comments on our YouTube stream. Hello to Pennsylvania, Texas, New Zealand. I'm jealous. What a beautiful place. I see someone's commenting that he was told there would be donuts. I'm not sure where you got that information, but I'll have to check with our marketing team because we must have missed that detail. Maybe next time. Hello to the Netherlands, Shanghai. We have a lot of you tuning in from all over the world. So thank you. Thank you for being with us. All right. So today we are looking at regular expressions, specifically how to use them in UltraEdit. If you don't know me, my name is Ben Schwenk. I'm general manager here at UltraEdit. Now, many of you may not have guessed this, but I actually started with UltraEdit as a support rep back in 2006, providing tech support to thousands of customers. In fact, some of you on the stream or watching later may recognize my name. Maybe I've exchanged a few emails with you. But back when I was working in support, it was not uncommon that we'd receive a highly unique request for some extremely unique editing tasks. For example, I want to delete all lines that contain one string but don't contain this other string using UltraEdit. Or I want to add this text token after every third occurrence of some specific keyword, or it could get really crazy like that. And it was often the case that those requests were handled very easily via regular expressions. Once you assembled the pattern to search for, a quick find and replace was all you needed to get the job done. So today, we're going to unpack regular expressions in UltraEdit a bit more. And our hope is that you learned something that saves you some time or improves your effectiveness with UltraEdit. Because regular expressions really are an unassuming yet powerful aspect of find and replace. Now, our presenter today is Brad Hawkins. He's our former lead developer and our current product manager. And Brad has over 20 years of experience working on UltraEdit as an engineer and now as a PM. And he's pulled together some excellent demos and some use cases for everyone, whether you're just familiarizing yourself with regular expressions or you're highly seasoned in using them. Now, I know it's been said that some people, when facing a problem in programming or data editing, think, I know, I'll use regular expressions. Then they have two problems, right? You might have heard this glib quote in conversations around regular expressions, or maybe seen it in articles about regular expressions. And while it's true that regular expressions can be complicated, I think they get a bit of a bad rap sometimes because of their esoteric nature and sometimes, quite frankly, their misapplication or their overuse. So anyway, our aim today is to demystify regular expressions and to make them a bit more accessible for the regular user, and ultimately help you all get more value out of your tools like UltraEdit. We call UltraEdit the Swiss Army knife of text editors. I say that on almost every webinar that we do. It's because it's true. And regular expressions are just one of the many tools or the blades attached to the knife that a lot of people either don't understand or don't think that they need. But today we're going to show you how much power you actually do have at your fingertips with regular expressions. So for those of you who are totally new to regular expressions, let's do a quick definition here. Regular expressions, or sometimes they're called regex for short, are a way to search for text by patterns instead of specific strings. So with a normal search in UltraEdit or anywhere else, you type in the exact string that you're looking for, right? But with regular expressions, you actually supply a pattern to the search. Let's say, for example, you have like a huge data file and you want to locate only phone numbers in that file. With regular expressions, you can create a rule that essentially tells UltraEdit to find any sequence of numbers that follows the pattern of 3 digits, hyphen, 3 digits, hyphen, 4 digits. And you could even refine it further by having it check for parentheses or spaces. Or you could assemble a regular expression pattern that's used to match all valid email addresses. That's a very common application. So regex allow you to tell UltraEdit, hey, I don't know exactly what the matches are, but here's the pattern that I'm looking for. And when you properly understand and utilize them, they're an extremely powerful tool in your tool belt. Now, I should point out as well that UltraEdit supports 3 different variants or flavors, if you will, of regular expressions. We offer Perl style, Unix style, and then a proprietary variant that we call UltraEdit style. Brad's demos today are going to feature Perl style exclusively, just because those tend to be the most developed and refined and rounded out of the 3 versions that we offer. And you may have seen in your world of programming regular expressions implemented in one way or another. They're used across many, many different programming languages, from JavaScript to Perl to C++, and they're absolutely essential for various applications in programming. But in the UltraEdit world, regular expressions are applicable within the domain of find and replace, or find and replace in files, which we will see shortly here. Now, before I pass it over to Brad, just a couple of quick notes. First, we are broadcasting today from a new platform that allows us to stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, and some other social media platforms. So wherever you're watching from, could you do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, or maybe follow on YouTube for us? That will make sure that you get notifications on future updates, future videos, future webinars. And it also helps us. It's a very small thing that helps us in a very huge way. It helps us produce content that you're actually interested in, and it helps us get the word out about UltraEdit. We're also going to have some time at the end of the presentation for Q&A. And during the presentation as well, feel free to type your questions in the chat. We have a few of our UltraEdit team on hand to answer your questions directly in chat. And if we get any good ones, we might revisit those in the broadcast at the end, if everybody would benefit from seeing those. If you have a question about regular expressions that might be a bit more complex or involved, you may actually want to email our support team for some more hands-on assistance. You're always welcome to do that at support@ultraedit.com. All right, with that out of the way, please welcome my colleague and UltraEdit expert, Brad, to the proverbial stage, and let's dive into the wonderful and wacky world of regular expressions. Brad?
Thank you, Ben, and hello, everyone. Before I get started, Ben, I did want to ask you, based on the question that one of our viewers posted, is where are the donuts?
Well, as I mentioned, I think there was a miscommunication somewhere, because I certainly don't have any here. I would absolutely love it if we did. So we'll have to look into, for our next webinar, making sure that we properly supply our pastries along with our content.
I'm going to hold you to that. I skipped breakfast this morning in anticipation of the donuts, so I guess I'll just have to do better next time. But no, enough of that. Yeah, before we dive in, to regular expressions. Thank you, Ben, for your intro. You covered everything great. In fact, I'm going to skip a slide in just a second because you did such a great job. I don't even need to go over it. So let's go ahead and jump over. And then this will be the slide I was going to skip over. This just covers an intro on regular expressions. Ben explained it perfectly. I have nothing to add. So we'll just move on from that. In UltraEdit, regular expression support, Ben already covered some of this too. You know, we have Perl and Unix and UltraEdit regular expressions. We're only going to really go over Perl regular expressions today. I've marked the Unix and UltraEdit expressions here as legacy, and that doesn't in any way detract from their usefulness or their power, but generally, most of the use cases that we see for customers and even internally in UltraEdit, it's Perl regular expressions. I guess I should point out that exactly what those expressions are a little more. The Unix expressions are not much different than Perl. They're more of a subset. They were put in before Perl was adopted in UltraEdit. The Perl regular expressions were adopted, so they're just a subset, and they exist. They really are more of a legacy. They're there for people to use who already have a workflow that uses them. The UltraEdit are a little more interesting. Just want to do a call out to the originator, the founder of UltraEdit, Ian Mead. He created UltraEdit regular expressions basically without having any type of guide to go on to create regular expressions, which if anyone out there has ever sat down and decided they wanted to create their own regular expression language, as it were, it can be a daunting task, and he accomplished it. And the UltraEdit regular expressions are quite powerful, but they are their own flavor. They're not the more commonly known standardized or relatively standardized Perl compatible regular expressions that we're talking about. So UltraEdit expressions are great, but they're not as applicable to what we want to do today. I do want to say there are a few settings in UltraEdit where this applies, and I'll show this when we get into UltraEdit because I'll be demoing with UltraEdit. Mostly where you're pretty much the main place you're going to see regular expressions as a user is in the Find window and the Find interfaces. I've got, you can see in the slide, there's a little image there, a little checkbox with regular expressions, and it has Perl in the combo box. That's where you'll see that in the Find window, and I'll call that out. If you've never used the expressions, regular expressions in UltraEdit, I'll be sure to identify that once we have UltraEdit up, so you can see where that is in the interface. It's pretty obvious, but there it is. We do have some settings in UltraEdit. I'm going to show these in the application too. Well, actually, we have two screenshots of them right here. You probably won't need to mess with these normally, but they do enable a couple things. One setting is that by default, the search operations in UltraEdit, unless you select match case in searching, is not case sensitive. This option makes it so that it's always case sensitive, which disables the match case option in Find. Most people probably aren't going to mess with this, but if it's something you're looking for, you can go and dig into settings and find that. And then also this is actually something that I do use sometimes, and I'll enable it when I'm doing certain getting a certain workflow, is that you can set the regular expression option to disable every time you execute it. So if you're doing lots of find operations and you say, hey, I need a regular expression, and you want to do a regular expression, and then when you're done with the regular expression, you want to go back to the normal find, you have to click, check the checkbox, uncheck the checkbox whenever you're toggling between regular expressions or not. And if I'm doing a lot of find operations that don't involve regular expressions, and I do want to do a regular expression, that setting kind of is convenient because you can do a one-off regular expression, then jump back into your normal workflow using regular search. So I just want to call out those settings for people who may not be familiar with those in UltraEdit settings. All right. We're not going to do this entire presentation is really geared towards showing you how regular expressions work, giving you some good concrete examples. It's not meant to be a tutorial. Because jumping into regular expressions and learning them is more than we can do in a single webinar, and it kind of wouldn't fit what we're trying to do with the Masterclass idea, which is give you some actual substance that you can work with, something that will help you in what you're doing right now. So we're going to have some examples, and I'm going to show you some things in UltraEdit, but I'm not going to walk through every single item. I'm not going to identify each regular expression item and give you a full explanation. I am going to show something interesting. I find it neat that we're adding to UltraEdit in the future. Kind of consider this a demo within a demo, and we'll get to that in just a second when I bring up UltraEdit. That allows you to examine regular expressions, kind of analyze them and break them down and get a real feel for what each element in the expression does using a third-party application. Excuse me. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to go over some common expressions that are going to be used in lots of different cases. And I'm going to do an example of these in UltraEdit. But these are operations like you want to match a full line in a file or a set of files you have open. Maybe you want to look for blank lines. You're looking for dates. Ben mentioned some of this in his intro. Dates, currency, like dollars or euros or any other currency that you can write an expression for. Phone numbers. Yeah, I know Ben called out phone numbers specifically, that you can do searches for, for phone numbers. Or you can go beyond just matching and do operations that do additional, like you don't want to just match or find. You want to actually do like a replace or a substitution, or you want to manipulate data in some cases, like for instance removing HTML tags, which I actually use that myself when I'm dealing with markdown files, and I'll show a brief example of that too. Of sometimes you don't want you don't want your HTML tags in your markdown files. You'd like to just deal with the markdown content and pull those out. So we've looked at those common expressions. Let's actually do some actual examples. Let me bring up UltraEdit. Here we go. And I've got a sample file. So here's the find dialog, and I'm sure all of you, or presumably all of you, have seen our find dialog and are used to using it. Right here, we have the regular expression options in our find dialog, and each one of the tabs in here: find, replace, find in files, replace in files. They all have regular expression support. You just and obviously the setting carries over to each one, so you don't have to toggle it for each one. But they all have regular expression support. Now we're going to stick with just find right now, and we're going to do some of the basic operations that I talked about before and then on the slide. And I've got these. Normally you might type these in as you're coming up the regular expression, but I find that it's a lot easier to use our favorites feature, and you can have favorites, you can save things. So I've got a list of regular expressions already saved in here, so that if I'm going to look for something, like I'm looking for dates, I can just put this in, and then I can hit next, and you can see over here in UltraEdit at the top, it's matching the two different dates that I have in this sample text file. I could just as easily, I want to look for prices, some type of dollar denomination, and I can select this regular expression. Well, my regular expression is not the best in the world. I put this together pretty quickly. It's matching numbers of various formats, but it does match dollars, prices, just like that. So obviously I need to revise that expression a little bit to narrow it down, but you can see that works. Let's see, what else can we do here? We could also, like I said, I mentioned you could do like a line. Let's say you want to just do a full line of text. It's jumping around because let me switch that up here. Let's switch to word rep. That'll make that a little. Well, the screen won't jump around as much. And you can see that's matching each individual line, the full line, as I'm stepping through this. Let's see. You could do the opposite of that. You could match simply empty lines. This may not be as obvious. This is going to be like the black line on dark gray, so it won't be as obvious. You can see that black line, because there's nothing on the line, so it doesn't highlight, is stepping through the file, and it's matching only empty lines. And let's see, there was another example. Let's see. Yeah, I wanted to do the, let's look at that. Remove XML, HTML tag. That was the one I wanted to look at. So I've got a markdown file here. This is a simple example. There it is. So I've got the reg expression. It's a very simple reg expression. In fact, this is a good opportunity to showcase the little tool I was talking about. Over here, we've got a new dockable window called Web Apps. And none of this is official. So the name of this could change. The view, the style, and the way this is presented will change. But basically, the idea is we want to add. We've added plugins to UltraEdit. We've added plugins with a UI with our Pieces plugin, which supports AI. And now we've added, basically, this is a more basic visual plugin, which is it's just taking an existing website or web app and being able to host it directly within UltraEdit. In this case, this is the Regex 101 site that's being hosted within UltraEdit. So I can put the regular expression that I pulled from here. And what this does is it will break it down. It will actually tell you within this Regex analyzer and tester, it will tell you exactly what each element of the regular expression will do. You know, that it will, like it says right there, matches the previous token between 1 and unlimited times. And it'll tell you that it's text, that's the closing text, that's just text. It'll tell you this is that the brackets, the square brackets there are the start of a character class, which establishes a match for a single character based on what's contained within it, which in this case is actually a negation, the little, the caret symbol there, the little caret hat symbol. Then the tag, it means this whole block in square braces says match anything that's not a tag. So what it does is it starts with a tag, just plain text. The expression says, I'm going to match anything that's not a tag, and it's going to keep doing that because of the plus until it gets to the closing tag. So this is useful. I have this markdown file, and I've got some HTML content in this markdown file. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to strip that HTML content out, leaving you just with text, because I'm reformatting the markdown, or I'm moving it, or maybe I'm even using the markdown in another context where HTML isn't well supported, because different markdown engines support markdown in different ways. They may not support certain extensions. So I'm going to execute this, just flip over to replace, and this should, yep, there we go. It left the containing text from that entry in this file, removed. We can undo that. You can see here's the tags right here, and it just goes through and selectively removes. And there are different tags. So I'm matching multiple tags: the div tag, the header, the paragraph tag, and just leaving their text. So now I've cleaned those out of my markdown file, and I can save this. I'm not going to do that because I might want to use this again for another sample. But you can see that's a very simple. You can see that the size of this regular expression, it's very simple. It's not difficult. If you step through it a bit by bit, especially using the regular expression analyzer here, you can step through each element and kind of understand what it's doing. You can take this and build on it, add additional elements to this. If you want to do more with this expression, this is it also has a tester down here. I should mention that. You could take this and you can put this over here, and then it will show you, as you're building your expression, it will show you how it's matching, what the match number is in here. It gives you detailed information about each match in your sample text to help you build your regular expression up here. So if you start using this regular, you can kind of wander down a windy path with this regular expression tool, and I've wasted some time with that, I can tell you, just because it was interesting. So, but it's extremely useful to help you, especially if you're troubleshooting. If you have a regular expression and you're just trying to understand what it does, you can easily put it in here, walk through this up here to see exactly what it's trying to do, have your sample text, and go, oh, this is telling me exactly what I need to do to make my regular expression work. So I really recommend this tool. The web apps we're adding to UltraEdit, this will be in the 2025 series for UltraEdit. The list of web apps that we're going to put by default has not been established yet. So this is just a sample. I cannot guarantee Regex 101 will be in there, but as the user with everything else in UltraEdit, you can add any website or other web app that you can come up with that can be loaded through the web app tool. You can be able to add it to this yourself. So you can have your whole list of your own custom websites and pages you want to have loaded here. So if you want to come back and add Regex 101 yourself, if we decide not to include it, you can do that. So let me flip back over to, all right, we went through all of these common examples. So I'm going to move on to something. This is going to show where we're actually doing something with the regular expression. We're not just matching. We're not just doing some simple operation. The first one we're going to look at is you have a CSV file, and for whatever reason, maybe your data is out of order, or the way you're using the data, you just like it to be in a different order. And so we've got a fairly simple regular expression. I mean, I know regular expressions can look very arcane, but you don't have to understand every element of the regular expression in order to use it. That's one of the beauties of the regular expressions, is if you have one and it's doing what you need it to do, you can just use it. I don't claim to be a regular expression expert. I don't think Ben does either. Ben, chime in if you are an expert. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But we do use regular expressions. I use them often daily for various activities, and I use tools that work. And I don't necessarily know, I don't necessarily have the time to build a very complex regular expression. In fact, we're going to look at one later, I think, that's like a full page in size. I would never write a regular expression that's like a full page in length. That would just be, that kind of goes along with what Ben was saying earlier about when you write a regular expression to solve a problem, you've now got two problems. In some cases, that's true. But when you have simple tools like this, simple single line regular expressions that you can put together to solve a problem, I believe it's definitely worth it. So first, we're going to take a look at this CSV example, and then we're going to look at something simple, which is just using a regular expression to insert a divider at a certain interval. There's plenty of ways you could do that. In fact, I know in UltraEdit we have insertion tools that can do that for you. But there's one of the beauties of UltraEdit is there's usually more than one way to do something, and sometimes there's many times ways to do something, not just one way, but two ways or three ways. And I think that's okay. I think people appreciate being able to find the tool that best suits their needs. So let's switch over back to UltraEdit, and let's look at the CSV example and the page divider or section divider example. All right. Should have a very simple little CSV file here. Not a lot of content here, but it will illustrate the example. This is just like you might have a very simple user record, name, phone number, email address. Obviously, those are not our real phone numbers or real email addresses. So Ben, Johnny, Troy, don't get upset. This is not real data. And let's see, let's see, here we go. Take this expression. I'm gonna go ahead and put this over here into the Regex builder, so we can see how that, and let's go ahead and take this text too. Not because I need to, but just because it helps illustrate. That you can see here's the regular expression, and this is what it's going to do. This is the first match. It's got two different matches it's got going here. And what we're going to do with this is the match. It's matching the first two fields in each CSV record. That's great. But now we want to do something with that. We can see that it's identifying this is obviously our first and last names. So it's identifying it's matching the first name and the last name. What we want to do is we want to down here, I'm doing a replace the /1/2. This will insert the first captured match anywhere you see parentheses, like right here. See, it says first capturing group. And over here it says second capturing group. That corresponds to the /1 and /2. So what this will do is it'll take the first capturing group, which in this case is Bradley here, and the second capturing group, which is Hawkins, and it will flip those and reverse those in the location of the match. So if let's go over here so you can see this, and I hit next, that's the match. I'm going to hit replace. It just reverses them. So it's simple. Again, there's plenty of ways you could reverse records in a CSV file, but this regular expression is not difficult to understand. If you step through it, you come over here and you step through it, you will see exactly what it's doing with an exact description. And you can just put this in and replace, replace, replace. And now we've inverted the first and last names for the CSV record. There's plenty of reasons you might want to do this. It could be purely for presentation. It could be because the data was entered in reverse initially, and so that you're doing this operation to correct something that was wrong. There's lots of use cases you could do to move data records around in this way and invert fields. All right, so the next item we were going to do, let me see here. I've got to find my content. There we go. So in this case, I've got a list. This is just a list various items. In this case, these are actually all bug fixes. So that's not the point of that, but it's a long list of bug fixes, and this might not be the most human readable thing or the most easily readable, or you just want to break it up for presentation purposes. You could easily do that. Like I said, UltraEdit has the ability to insert at a certain increment, so you could use one of our commands functions to do that. You can just manually go through and add wherever you want to put breaks. You can also use a regular expression. In this case, I need to adjust this because it's set to replace every 100 lines, and or actually it's not really lines, it's based on matches. But what this does here is it matches on lines, and that's what the. Well, let's take this and do the same thing I've been doing. Let's take this and we'll put this over here. And it will tell you here that this quantifier matches the previous token exactly 20 times. So whatever this entire expression here is, this expression here, this part of the expression will make it match 20 times, and then that allows you to act on that. In our case, what we're going to do is we're going to use the replace functionality here to act on that, because it'll match up to 20, and that'll give you basically an insertion point. So we'll take this regular expression, it's set to 20 lines, and then for the replace value, nope. I had this one saved because I didn't want to type the thing all over again. There it is. We're going to take the match, which is the entire group of 20 lines. We're going to put that back right on top of itself, and then we're going to add just a little divider. This could be anything you want, any content you want, obviously. I just got a basic little divider because that's the point of the exercise. So we can just make sure we want to be at the top of the file. We grab that, we hit replace, and you see that it has done exactly what I said. And you can do the same thing for the entire file, and it would insert add increments all the way through the file. It's not that many lines, but it could be a much larger file, which is why it was set to 100 lines originally. So we will reset this, like I said, so I can test it later. And I might need to reset this one too. There we go. And let's flip back over to our presentation. Oh, there we go. So we covered the CSV swapping for the fields, and we covered inserting dividers for pages. So let's move on to, so many of you may not have much of a regular expression background. So it can be a lot. Like here's an example here, and you can see this regular expression that was generated. This was generated by an AI prompt, and we're going to actually go through this exercise because I have a demo to go through with this regular expression. You might not want to write this out or figure it out yourself. So you could, AI is what everyone's talking about. It's in all the news, everything we're doing. It's hard to get away from AI, but it can be very useful. So let's see an example of how that can be useful. So what I've got here is what we want to do is we want to match email addresses. And what I'm going to do with that is I have a prompt that I've written. If I can not click in the wrong, my apologies for flipping around there. And let's see, I've got this prompt here, and I've actually got this saved because I am not going to take your time to write all of that out. All right, here we go. So as many of you may know, in the last release of UltraEdit 2024.2, which is in December, we added an AI tool to UltraEdit. It's an external third-party tool. It's not required for UltraEdit, and we don't ship it by default, but it is available as an option for anyone that wants that AI functionality. And what we're going to do is I should have here, there we go. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. So I've got the regular expression. No, I'm sorry, I got to go backwards here. Let's see, we're going to take this and we're going to, here we go. In UltraEdit, if you have the plugin enabled and you have the pieces for developers software installed, you can ask pieces in UltraEdit, and I can take that prompt that I showed you, and here's the entire prompt, no changes to that, and I can ask pieces, and of course it did not work. That is one of the dangers of the live demonstration. Okay, hold on a second. I may have to skip this part. It appears that that is not working. These things happen. All right. Okay, we're going to have to skip that part. Well, I have the regular expression, so I can show you what the AI system would have done. Okay. It was busy loading. I gave it too much to do. And it was, well, we will skip over this. Like I said, it was working earlier, and apparently I'm having some issue because this is all, it's an online AI system, so it's been delayed by that. So I will grab the regular expression that it did generate previously today. And we've got this regular expression here. I'm going to get that. And you can see that this is the regular expression that the AI system, in this case, it was OpenAI's ChatGPT, the 4.0 model, and it's matching, generating expression from the prompt I gave it, and it generated the regular expression that is matching these email addresses. I'm stepping through this file. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do a little extra since the AI part didn't work. Let's do a little extra with this demo. So I've got it matching email addresses. Let's go one step further. Let's do something with those email addresses. So I've got the regular expression. It's matching email addresses. I can see that. Let's pull up using our list lines containing string. Let's go ahead and do that. So it will pull all the email addresses out of the file, and it will put them in a list like this. And it's nice to see this list, but what would be more useful to me is let's use that to copy this to a new file. So now I've searched the file using the regular expression. I pulled all the matches out, which are email addresses, and using our find string list or list lines containing, I've now created a new file that has all of the matches from the previous find. So the AI part of this demo did not work, but the email search, match with the regular expression, and then being able to extract those email addresses and get them into a new file as a list, all that is working. So that part was working, so that's good. All right. Go ahead and close that. And let's go back to, again, we're going to do matching of URLs. Again, I generated this prompt previously with the AI service, and so I already have the regular expression. So what we're doing here is we're going to be looking at a file with URLs, and we're going to use this regular expression generated by the AI service to match those URLs, and then we're going to do the same thing we just did with the emails. We're going to extract those into a more usable form. So let's go back to UltraEdit. Let's switch to that. All right, I've got the regular expression. Nope. I may have, there it is. All right. Let's take this one, same thing. We'll put it over here so we can see how that breaks down. And first, let's find a match. That's not what I want to do yet. All right. Turns out I have to do the right thing. You have to uncheck list lines containing string. So, all right, here we go. It's finding URLs within this HTML document. And I can take this here as an example, put this over here. Well, that's interesting. I found an example of regular expression that's working fine in UltraEdit that the Regex tester does not like. So that's, I guess you find inconsistencies and bugs in software wherever you look. You can find that in any system. But yeah, there seems to be some issue there with it. Either the regular expression is not like the pattern we put in. So, but the regular expression works fine in UltraEdit, so that's good for us to see. So as you can see, I'm stepping through, and it's matching all of the URLs that it's finding in UltraEdit. And but this isn't particularly useful to me because it's finding the URLs in this HTML file, but I'd like to do something with them. So similar to how I did with the email addresses, I'm going to pull these out with the list lines containing. So it'll give me a list of URLs. And then I am going to copy these to a new file like that. Let's close this. Let's uncheck that so I don't make that same mistake next time. And let's see, we want to clean this up just a little bit. Let's see here. We're already using regular expressions for everything. Let's go ahead and clean it up with a regular expression. Sounds like a good idea. Ben's gonna quote me the same thing about creating problems for myself again. But let's see if this works. All right. Looks like it does. I have a regular expression. It's basically the same as before, but I'm trying to capture information before and after the regular expression because all I'm really interested in is the URL. I don't care about the preceding anchor tag. I don't care about the quotes. All I want is the actual URL. So I've got that. Let's do that. We're going to specify that I want the first match. And let's hit replace all. And there we go. I have a few extraneous items here. I don't need those. So I started out with the HTML file. It has URLs. These are all obviously UltraEdit download packages. And I had started with an HTML file that has these in it. If I wanted a list of all of the downloadable UltraEdit files from that HTML file, I used a regular expression to extract that information into a separate file. And then I cleaned it up with a regular expression. And now I have a nice, clean, tight list of download URLs that I could copy to another document or save and make use of in that way. So let's flip back to, okay, we covered matching email addresses. We covered matching URLs. Got examples of both of those and how to make use of those. Let's go to, okay. Now we're going to look at this is a step-by-step. This is how I would, if I'm starting from scratch, is what this is. I have a particular task. I have a set of data. I want to do something with it. And I'm starting with, I have nothing to work with. Obviously, I've already gone through this, so I'm cheating a little bit here. I've already got the regular expressions. But this is how I solve this problem. This is not a made-up problem. This is a real problem. I needed to extract some information from our ticket database, and I did not want to craft a specific query from the database to get this. I just wanted to get the list of tickets, and then I wanted to do something with it. So I just got a raw copy of all that ticket data, and I want to do something with it, and I wanted to do something with it quickly. Regular expression really is a way to do that, as we talked about, is you want to do something quickly and you don't want to have to go through other mechanisms. It's great for that. So what I did is I pulled the data out, I put it into a file, and now I need to identify a pattern that I can leverage with a regular expression. And I'm going to walk through this in the file in just a second. And then because I'm starting out without any expression, I'm having to build this from scratch. I'm going to start with something simple, and I'll explain this. And then once I've got that, I want to build on that regular expression to do something with it. I have specific information I want out of this data file. So I'm going to build the next part of the expression and then the next part of the expression. And then when I put all that together, I'll have a final regular expression that will give me the results I want. So let's flip over to UltraEdit. And here I have a file that, as you can see, is a fairly long file. It's a lot of data. But the first step we need to do is to identify, is there a regular pattern? No point, and you can't really use the regular expression if you don't have that quote-unquote regular pattern. So you can see that there's a common elements here. Each one of these little sections is starting with something I can identify, this UEX-11. UEX-12, UEX-69. So that gives me something I can key off of. I can also, so I can match that. Now I've got this saved, but I did write this yesterday, as a matter of fact. Let's see. We'll put this here. And we'll put this here. And as an example, I will grab the first record out of this file and put it over here so we can see it in action. Now, we've got the reg expression here that matches, literal match of the pound symbol, the hash. And then it's doing, with the parentheses, it's doing a capture, and it's looking for the UEX, the dash. It's looking for a number, and then it's looking for some number of that up to the end of line, which is right here. As you can see, it's showing you that it matches the UEX-11, and the green shows you that it's capturing UEX-11. Because what I want is this first line is the ticket ID. The next line is the ticket description. The rest of this information I don't care about. So I need a regular expression that will match the ticket ID. I don't want that hash symbol because the hash symbol is just noise. I just want the ticket ID. So I want to capture that. I've successfully done that. I've got this. I've got that information. I now have a match group. And now I need to construct the next part of this, which is to grab this line right here. So I've got an expression to do that. Let's replace that. This is worth noting, because especially if you're going to be doing any expressions with UltraEdit, you'll see in the reg expression builder over here, this Regex 101, that I'm removing the carriage returns, the /R's from this. Many tools that use reg expressions, they tend to handle line terminators fairly agnostically, meaning that they're not as picky. UltraEdit is very picky. That's on purpose. It's designed that way. If you put in a /n, meaning that it has a line feed, UltraEdit expects a line feed. If you put in a /R, it expects a carriage return. If you want a carriage return and a line feed, you have to put in /R and /n. That kind of runs counter to how many other applications use regular expressions often, because they kind of fudge things a little bit, and they'll let the match be more of a logical match than a literal match. So that if you have DOS line terminators, Windows line terminators, Unix line terminators, it'll kind of let those handle the same expression. That's something we probably ought to add some options in UltraEdit to make that a little easier, so you don't have to change your expression whether you're in UltraEdit or something else. But still, you can see that this basically will match the full contents of any line, which is what I want, because I want to match that second line. And I already have an expression to match the UEX-11, so I can see here that expression will match this second line. So great. I've got the first part covered. Now I have the second part covered. Now the third part is I have to match this part, but I don't want to keep that part. I just want to match it. So let's look at this. All right. Now this is matching nothing, because this here, it's a non-capturing group, and it's contingent on the previous match. So for this to make sense, I have to give it something to match with. So let's take the full expression so you can see it in action. And I just messed, oh, that's right. There we go. Keep catching myself up. I just got to explaining why I can't use carriage returns and line feeds in here. Well, it doesn't like my expression. Me and the Regex builder are having some issues today, but that's all right. I know this expression works in UltraEdit because I used it. So let's look at this. We got the expression right here. We've got UltraEdit. And I've got my full reg expression, the first part that matches the ID, the second part that matches the description, and then the third part that passes over the remaining pieces of the ticket item. If I do this, I get a full selection here. So it's selecting the entire block. And if I iterate through here, you can see it's selecting each block as I step through. So I feel that I've got a good set of capturing and pulling information out of this file with this regular expression. So now all I need to do is come over here and put in the substitutions right here. And I know I want the first match, which is the ID, and I want the second match, which is the description, and I don't need the rest of it. So if I do this, I've got the right selection. If I hit replace, before I do that, oh, caps lock. I'm adding this so that it'll make sure to append a blank line. I don't want all this to wind up on a single line, so I need that character and line feed to make sure these are all in separate lines. So I hit replace. It's stepping through. I've done the entire file. Now I've got my entire ticket report cleaned up, pulled out, and now I can take this and I can do something like I can take all this, paste it, put it into a changelog file, which is exactly why I had to go through this process and do this regular expression. Was I needed to pull all this information out and create a changelog file. Now I've taken several minutes to walk through this and cover this, but the actual operation only took a matter of like, a minute. I knew what I was looking for. I had the regular expression. I grabbed the file. I put the regular expression in. I did the replace. I had my data. It was very quick. And that shows the power of regular expressions. All right, let's flip back to the presentation. We've covered that example. Then I've got some links here that we can obviously send out to if anyone's interested. The link to Regex 101. I've used it a great deal. I'm not going to blame it for some of the oddities I saw there. I'm sure I had a typo or put something incorrectly into its field because I've used Regex 101 to build lots of regular expressions, and it's extremely useful. And there's some other resources here. One that I found interesting is this Open Regex. I don't know anything about it specifically, except I just looked at it, and it basically lets you put in a Regex builder analyzer type interface into anything you use a web app. Like for instance, we could host openregex.com, or they actually provide source code, so you don't even have to access the web. You could just simply have the code available, and you could host it in your own app. That's something we might look at for UltraEdit, is so we can have our own built-in Regex builder and analyzer right in UltraEdit. That's something to look at. And then some references for regular expressions. Ben, you want to jump in here now because we have reached the end of our regular expression presentation. I did want to, before we go on to any questions we can fit in, sorry, that presentation went longer than I expected. We do not have as much time for questions as I would like. But real quick, this is the things we're looking at for UltraEdit. We're looking at bringing integrated Git support to UltraEdit. That should come very soon in the 2025 series for UltraEdit. We already have that in UE Studio. This will just be bringing that over to UltraEdit. We're bringing in a new plugin SDK, wizard, and manager so that anyone who wants to can create plugins for UltraEdit. And you've already seen the web app tool plugins, like with the Regex 101 website that you can pull into UltraEdit. So that's coming in the future. And then some things I think we've talked about this previously in previous webinars, but these are still on our roadmap and they're coming, which is we're going to be doing additional items for AI integration. We've got some nifty features we're looking at for anyone who's an EDI user who needs that electronic data interchange formats for their files and data streams. We've got some ideas there that are going to be coming in future version. And then, of course, we're going to always be doing parsing and language improvements.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brad. That was a great presentation, and I think it highlights the precise nature of regular expressions and how sometimes I recall this from a few support cases I worked when people were, users trying to put together a regular expression and it's not working, it's not matching anything. It turns out there's like a hidden line feed in the find what dialog at the end of the regular expression. And because it's an invisible character, you can't see it. Or maybe it's just a space or a tab. So you've always got to be checking for those little gotchas when it comes to regular expressions. Everything has to be just right. There were a couple of questions that came through that I wanted to ask. Lots of questions about your web app, your Regex 101 web app. Brad mentioned this at the beginning of the broadcast, but that's actually an internal only feature that he activated in UltraEdit, but we are planning on adding that in a future release over the coming months. So he's giving you a little taste of what's possible and what's actually coming with UltraEdit. Obviously is a little bit raw right now, and still has some polishing strokes that need to be applied to it, but that's not currently available as of this broadcast. Questions about pieces, how to download and use pieces. So when you download the UltraEdit installer, there is an option in the installer to add pieces. That option is not enabled by default. And we intentionally did that because we don't want to be automatically adding AI services or cloud connectivity to your machine without your explicit opt-in consent. But if you don't have pieces, just rerun the installer and check that option. It'll maintain your settings and everything. It won't mess anything up, but then it will add the pieces component so that you can use the AI service right there in UltraEdit. We also had some questions about providing copies of the slides and some of the links that were at the end. We are going to make that available in a blog post. We always do a wrap-up blog post at the end of webinars or in the days following our webinars that kind of like hit the high points of the broadcast, and any reference materials or other material that we think would be helpful for you will include in the blog post. And that will be sent as an email to everyone who signed up.
Hey, Ben, I think I should also mention that I think we're probably due for an additional power tip involving regular expressions. And some of the examples in this presentation could easily be adapted to a power tip. And I was planning on working on that in the near future.
So we actually had some questions about cheat sheets or other examples, and we have 4 power tips currently on regular expressions, and I'll share those. I don't think this is going to be clickable since this is part of the broadcast, but we can send these out and include them in the blog post. Yeah, they're not clickable. But if you go to our power tips page at ultraedit.com and in your browser, just do a Control or Command F and type in Perl, you'll see the 4 power tips. They're listed in order. The first is getting started. And that is going to just run through the special characters in the Perl regular expression syntax. So it'll explain what the dot means and what the $sign means, all the special characters, all the things that you can do with the special characters. So you can match, characters that are in a set or in a range. You can match positionally. So you can match like the beginning of a word and the end of the word. You're not actually matching a character. You're matching a position. You can do some really interesting things with that. You can match the start of a line, the end of a line. You can also match hex values or a range of hex characters. This will go through all of that. And then we have a second power tip that digs a little bit deeper. And in this power tip, we look at things that are a little more advanced, like positive and negative look behind and look ahead, which is where sometimes you want to find a certain string that's preceded by a word or a value, or maybe not preceded by a word or a value. So we take a look at how you can do that. That can be extremely powerful. And then we also have a power tip on greedy and non-greedy regular expressions. Sometimes when you're working with regular expressions, you'll find that it's matching more than what you expected. It's going further, in your data in matching. And you can control that by using the greedy modifier. And so that power tip covers how you can do that. And then finally, we have a power tip on back references. And that is what Brad was using with replace. So you can use parentheses in your regular expression to designate different components or different sections of your overall match that you can then back reference in your replace string. So you can reorder things or put something in between what you've matched. And those power tips, or this power tip, will cover how to do that and give you some use cases. So I think all those links are in the chat, and they should be clickable there, I think. Again, we will add them to our follow-up blog post as well as the material that Brad shared. We're coming up on time here, but maybe we just take a couple more minutes and see if we have any further questions. Does anyone have any questions?
Hey Ben, just real quick. If anyone enjoyed or found something useful in the Regex webinar, I hope everyone did. This one was fairly general. I mean, I know there's plenty of specifics, but we couldn't really dig deep into anything because we didn't know what our audience was going to be looking for. So if we have a need and a real call to produce more in depth. We can produce a webinar that really digs deep, but we couldn't do that just out of nowhere. We had to start with a webinar that answered some questions, that posed some that answered questions, posed questions, and presented new information to our users. And if there's something they want to hear more about, we'd be happy to do more webinars with deeper content. But with the understanding that if you sign up, you're going to be getting a deep dive, not an intro.
Yeah. Yep. That's very true. We'll key off of your feedback and what interests you. And feel free to send us email or in the comments. Let us know what that is. Luis Olavo asked a question. We can show this on the screen here. Why do we support several regex dialects, and what trends are expected among them? I can try to answer this. I think we actually, Brad mentioned that back in the beginning, in the early days of UltraEdit, when it was just a baby, our founder and the author of UltraEdit, Ian Mead, created his own dialect of regular expressions. And I remember him telling me that it was the hardest thing that he had ever done. So just to echo what Brad said earlier in the presentation, it's quite the undertaking to try to build your own regex engine. I think at the time there wasn't anything that was immediately available. And so over the years, there were other regex libraries that became popular, such as the Perl library. The Unix library is very similar, and those were added based on user requests. The UltraEdit style regular expressions are going to be much narrower in terms of like what they're able to do. There are very specific things that they're targeted at doing. And then with Perl and to a degree Unix, you have a lot more flexibility. These are regex syntaxes that have been developed over many years by many people, by the community. And if you saw the documentation on Perl Compatible Regular Expression, I think your jaw would drop. So you get a lot more power and flexibility with those, and we added those based upon user requests. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Brad.
I don't think so. I think you covered it well.
Okay.
Those legacy expressions exist because they exist. The UltraEdit expressions are used internally within UltraEdit in some areas that have been slowly being migrated to Perl. That doesn't impact users, but that's why they're still there. And we have users who have been using UltraEdit expressions for many, many years.
Yep.
So we don't want to rip them out from underneath people.
Exactly. And they're often hard-coded into macros and scripts. That's another thing we didn't even touch on. But all the stuff Brad's doing manually, you can actually live record it as you're doing the find or replace and create a macro, or you can program it into a script. And some people are using UltraEdit to automatically process data with macros and scripts that make use of regular expressions. And so we don't want to break anything. We don't want to remove support from anything for people who are dependent upon this functionality to get a vast majority of their work done in UltraEdit. So that's another consideration. All right. Well, I think we're a little bit beyond the hour here. I want to thank everybody who joined us on YouTube, on Facebook. If you're rewatching this later, thank you for joining us. Hope you learned something useful. Hope you got excited about what's coming in the future for UltraEdit. And we always welcome your feedback. You can email me directly. It's bschwenk@ultraedit.com. You can email our support team if you have a technical support question about the product, support@ultraedit.com. Any questions about licensing, or if you want to upgrade your license, renew, just email sales@ultraedit.com or idm@ultraedit.com, and we'll get back to you usually within the day. Thanks again, everybody, for attending. We'll end our webinar today and look forward to seeing you at the next one.